Well, welcome back to another episode of Live Stream Lee. My name is Lee Thurburn, and I am here for one purpose, and that is to help you grow your business faster so that you can end up with more money when you retire, more time in the meantime, and bigger profits, and just, I guess, generally speaking, have more fun. Business should be fun. Unfortunately, for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's not as much fun as it should be. If you're not going to have fun, why get into business? Why start a business with all the headaches that come along with it if you can't have a lot of fun doing it? To me, that just doesn't make sense. So my mission here is to help you have a more profitable business, because I'm going to tell you there's nothing more fun than a business that's making money. There just is a joy, not so much because of greed, but because you're accomplishing something. Some people think business people are greedy, and that's not the case. The vast majority of people that have a business, they do what they do because they genuinely enjoy it, and they feel like they're accomplishing something, building something, helping other people. I'm going to tell you, I believe that's the secret of success. Very simply put, help others. In particular, in the world of business, if you help other people succeed, you're inevitably going to succeed yourself. It just seems to work out that way. It's the golden rule applied to business. So I'd like to invite you, before we get started, to go to livestreamlee.com and join our community. When you join the community, you get an account on Apricot Rocket, which is a really great digital marketing platform. It's a combination of a lot of great things. It's first of all, it'll help you get customers. I mean, that's really the whole purpose of it. Now, we do that in a variety of ways, but one of the ways we do that is we ask you, in the process of setting up an account, which is free, by the way, we ask you to tell us about your business so that we can help introduce people to you that need the services that you offer. Okay, so in addition to that, you get a CRM, an email marketing tool, you get a shopping cart. It's kind of like having Salesforce plus Constant Contact plus Shopify plus, oh gosh, there's elements of all kinds of things. You could replace Twitter, you could replace Facebook, you could replace LinkedIn. I mean, of course, we don't have as many people as Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, but we are growing and we can help you connect. So go to livestreamlee.com and create a free account. You get the side benefit of actually also being able to get documents and information that things like slide decks and spreadsheets and private placement memorandums and subscription agreements and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, go to livestreamlee.com and get set up. And by the way, I want to talk about something really cool here. This is my corporate swag. I've shown this before, but I got some corporate swag from a guy named Bob Hurt. And I want to tell you about Bob because Bob's been around in the corporate swag business, in the customized and branded logo, branded apparel business for about 50 years. And he knows his stuff. Not only did he get us great shirts, but he also got us a great price. Now, who doesn't want both? You want high quality and a low price, right? In fact, that's what we're going to talk about today, is how you do that to grow your business. But more specifically, go to livestreamlee.com, and on the right-hand side, you're going to see a button that says Bob Hurt. Click on that button and you can get in touch with Bob, and you can get yourself some great corporate apparel for your business, just like I did. I do also want to mention that tomorrow we have a really wonderful guest interviewee. His name is Dan Nelson, and you've heard me talk about Dan. Dan is a master storyteller. And if you're like me and you enjoy stuff that's historical in orientation, by that I mean you like history, Dan is, I'd even say he's a historian, but he's kind of a unique type. He's a personal historian. He digs into people's genealogy and helps them find the incredible stories that exist about their ancestors. And he also sends out a newsletter. And the newsletter is not filled with the stories about his clients, but it's filled with stories that he finds along the way as he's doing research. So come and listen tomorrow at 3 o'clock as we talk to Dan Nelson. and learn more about how he's actually created a wonderful business out of his hobby. All right. Today we're going to talk about what I call the 30-second MBA program. Now, you can't learn an MBA program in 30 seconds, but I think I can kind of boil down, certainly in the remaining part of the 30 minutes that we have today, I can boil down the essence of an MBA program, get you the salient points, kind of the Cliff Notes version, if you will. I want to also tell you, I went yesterday to a meeting of Success North Dallas, and a guy named Kent Billingsley was there, and he was the speaker. And Kent, let me take this down here for a second. Kent wrote a book called Entrepreneur to Millionaire: How to Build a Highly Profitable, Fast Growth Company. I am only one chapter in because I just got it yesterday, but I'm going to be interviewing Kent on Friday of next week, the 7th of May. And I sure encourage you to come back for that, because we're going to find out a little bit more about how Kent learned all these wonderful things. And I was amazed yesterday as I talked with him about how much what he says in his book and in his presentation dovetails with what I talk about in the topic that I have of the 30-second MBA program. There are only two ways your business is going to make money, more money. Number one is increase your revenues, and number two is lower your costs. Now, that is so simple that everybody's going to go, well, duh, that's so why are you bothering to even tell us that? Well, I want to unpack it. I want to expand upon that a little bit. And so the first sort of layer of expanding is actually what I do call my 30-second MBA program. And I've been talking about this for many, many years. The three activities that are the most productive activities for you to engage in as a business owner are these three things here. Focus on getting more customers, focus on selling more to the customers that you do have, and focus on lowering your costs. Now, there is a lot that you can unpack in each one of those sub-segments. And so we're going to dive just a little deeper into each one of them and talk about them. But the reality is everything that you do in the world of business fits into one of these three categories. Everything that you do fits into one of these three categories. And so let's just unpack a little bit, and let's talk a little bit more about the get more customers part of the program. So when you go after getting more customers, there are several things that you can do, and they're not all equally productive. One is you can increase your marketing efforts, and certainly that can help you to get more customers. Another thing that you can do is you can focus on getting referrals from your existing customers. Now, some businesses you're going to get referrals, some businesses you're not going to get referrals. So if you're selling, something where you have a very small, highly competitive industry, your customers may not have anybody that they can refer you to in that industry. But if you're selling something to large customers, you can get referrals from within the organization, which is penetrating deeper into the organization to get more business out of the organization. You can increase the frequency of repeat purchases. I like to think of it this way. When I used to have an office over in Addison, and near, of course, lunchtime, you're at your office, you have to go somewhere for lunch. Well, there's probably 100 restaurants in about a 1 to 2 mile radius of the office I had in Addison. And there's a lot of places to go. And several years ago, when what's the name of that? Which Wich Sandwich franchises started to expand. You've probably eaten at one, but they, for the first time, had one in the Addison area. And I noticed it as I was driving down Beltline one day. So I went in to Which, and you walked up to this little counter they had set up, and you pull a little baggie that they're going to put your sandwich in, and you pull it out and you stand by the counter and you basically check the boxes and mark what kind of sandwich you want. They have different bags for chicken and turkey and ham and all that kind of stuff. And you check the boxes on all the different kinds of things, like kind of bread and toppings and all that kind of stuff. You get to craft your own sandwich, and then you hand it in, and then they run it down the line, they make it, and you get it at the end of the line. Now, at the time, that was a really interesting and unique process, and I could put all kinds of crazy stuff on there. I could put cranberries on there, and I could put grilled onions or, crispy onions. I mean, just all kinds of things. I enjoyed that so much that for the next couple of weeks, I probably ate there 3 times, 4 times a week, and then gradually the newness wore off, and I ate a little bit less frequently. The point is, you want your customers to come back frequently. So there are really just fundamentally 3 things that you can do to get more customers. One is to increase your sales, or increase the amount of marketing that you do to get the word out. And then second is to increase the referrals from your existing customers. And then, of course, you want your customers to come back and repeat purchase. So really you want to do all of the above. But you need to ask yourself the question, which of these activities can you do at the lowest marginal cost per revenue? See, it's not about simply increasing your revenues. It's about increasing your profits. And so if you engage in activities that raise your cost at about the same rate as you're raising your revenues, then you're really just kind of running on a treadmill. You're making more money, but you're working harder. Your margins aren't getting any better. And really what you want to do is you want to stimulate bigger margins. So increasing your marketing budget almost always has a diminishing return level. When you start your marketing, you typically are most efficient. And in fact, let me just say this about that. If a company starts off with too much money, they can be incredibly wasteful. If a company starts off with a very thin amount of capital, one of the benefits of not having a lot of capital is you have to be incredibly efficient in how you use your capital, which means you get really, really creative at figuring out ways to grow your business. If you have a lot of money, then you throw a lot of money at a lot of different things and don't necessarily do as good a job of measuring your response rates as you could. But I'm going to tell you something about marketing, and this is almost always true. In fact, I'd go to say that it's 99.9% of the time true. Your marginal cost of acquiring a new customer goes up as the number of customers that you have goes up. And the reason is the customers that are the least expensive ones tend to be the ones you find early in the game as you start to roll out your marketing. And then what happens is you start harvesting the customers that are most ready for your service, the ones that are most in tune for the message that you have, the ones that are already wanting what it is that you offer. And then as time goes along, as you harvest or find those customers, you have to spend progressively more money building a recognition, building more awareness, building top of mind awareness, and helping people understand why they want what you sell. So, and it's all about want versus need. A lot of people focus on need and they focus on features. They should be focusing on benefits and want. But in any event, almost always your cost of acquiring a customer goes up over time on a per unit basis as you harvest the easy ones, the already ones that are in tune and ready for what you have. So increasing your marketing budget, while it will have a return, will eventually have a diminishing rate of return and an ever greater cost of acquisition. So the point of this is that simply increasing your marketing budget is not necessarily the best way to go to get more customers. Now, the customers that you already have can be your best avenue to getting more customers. But it's a funny thing about customers is, they don't always just refer to you. You have to actually make sure that they know they should refer. You train them to refer. You ask them to refer. You incentivize them to refer. You reward them for referring. Referral marketing, generating referrals from your existing customers, is not something that will happen much if you just let it happen. So you need to actively engage in that activity, which means you have to have a communication process and strategy for generating more referrals. Generally speaking, that is one of the best ways for you to be able to grow your revenue. And then third is the customers that you have, you want them to come back and repeat the purchase process. Now, the challenge, of course, is there's a lot of businesses out there where people don't buy twice, or at least they don't buy twice very often. If you're selling cars, they're going to buy a car once every, 2, 3, 5 years. In fact, that's slowing down because the number of years that people own a car is increasing. So you may not be able to get a lot of types of customers to repeat purchase very often, like I did the Which sandwiches. If you sell homes, you're not going to get a whole lot of repeat purchases because, you might, but there's going to be a long cycle in between the repeat purchase process. But you also need to make sure that you have a communication strategy and a relationship building strategy to encourage those repeat purchases. If you just wait for it to happen, it's not going to happen. So, or at least not happen as much as it otherwise would if you have a strategy for it. So these are really the three things that you can do most effectively to be able to generate new revenues. And the one that is typically going to be the most expensive is going to be increasing your marketing. Okay, so how do you stimulate additional business? Well, before we get on to that, let's talk about selling more to your existing customers. Well, certainly you can get them to come back and buy the same thing they bought, like a sandwich. But how do you get them to buy more? How do you get more revenue per client out of your clients? Well, one simple way would be to increase your prices. And in fact, that's not a bad strategy if you're in a professional services business where it's only you that can provide the service. For example, if you're an attorney and you're just getting started, you might be just plumb tickled to have $100 or $150 an hour, because you think about it, $100 an hour for a 2,000 hour year is $200,000. Even in today's economy, that's not a bad amount of annual revenue, but you're not going to stay busy full time. So as you start to get clients and as you start to get busier, you gradually raise your hourly rate. And, you gradually start to cull out the clients that are the least profitable for you. And then you focus your attention on the clients as you build your client base that are the most profitable. So increasing prices is one way that you could do it. Another far better way to do it is to increase the value that your clients get out of the service or the products that you offer. Value is, of course, what clients want, whether it's a customer or a client. Doesn't matter what you talk about, how you describe the person that makes the purchase from you. They're always interested in getting maximum value. So how do you increase the value? Well, we're going to talk about that in a little greater detail in just a moment. One of the other things that you can do to increase your revenue per customer is to increase the breadth of your product line, add new products. I have a friend that's in the framing business, and he's got a really nice business. And I remember having lots of conversations with him about how he was growing his business. And one of the things that he would constantly worry about investing in is additional frame styles to add to the list of frames that people could select from. And, we had a long conversation about how he got distracted at one point in time and went down kind of a path of chasing a rabbit, if you will, and not adding more products or expanding his product line. Well, one way that you can increase the revenues that you generate is offer more types of products to your customer. You can also offer recurring purchase options. And this is a great way to increase the value of your business as well as the predictability of your revenue stream. Now, not every business can easily generate a recurring revenue product or component to the services or products that they offer. For example, how does a Subway sub sandwich shop generate a recurring revenue? Well, the only way that they can really do that is to offer maybe a little card. You can give them a punch card. When they get 10 punches, they get a free sandwich. And so that kind of thing, loyalty programs, those are ways to increase the frequency of repeat business. But in terms of actually adding a recurring revenue stream, especially a contractually obligated recurring revenue stream, that can be kind of tough. So professionals like accountants and attorneys will often have annual or monthly, retainer programs that you pay on a monthly basis, and you get some reduced rates or maybe some increased benefits by paying on a monthly program. So do consultants and coaches. They'll often offer those kinds of programs because they look at generating recurring revenues and also to some degree removing the personal side of the personal service. But again, look at this and ask yourself which lowers your costs. Well, certainly increasing your price doesn't have any impact on increasing your costs. Increasing the value may or may not increase or lower your prices. Increasing your product line, your cost. Increasing your product line almost always has an increase in your cost, because as you have more products or services you offer, you have to have more material, more inventory, you have to have more training for your employees and all those kinds of things. So as you start thinking about ways that you can generate more revenue per customer, always focus on what is it that lowers costs. And as we talk about value, let's just dig a little deeper into value. When you're trying to sell, oops, looky here, I've got two slides that are essentially the same. How about this one? Well, you know what? Somehow I got 3 slides that are all the same. And I got 4 slides that are all the same. Well, you know what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go open a little slide deck here on the side and just remind myself of kind of what I meant to talk about. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put this beside me so that I can talk about that. Hold on a second. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to turn that off, and I'm just going to put my little slide deck beside me because I want to make sure I don't miss any important points. Here we go. Come on. Well, we'll just do this. Goodness gracious, I kind of got sideways here, didn't I? Let's open that up. Here we go. Now I'm finally getting a little bit of, there we go. So let's talk about increasing value. Okay. Apologize for that. I needed to just organize. I didn't have my organization together as well as I want to. When you're talking about increasing value to increase the revenue per customer, it's really primarily about remembering the following. Talk about value. Talk about value frequently. Talk about the value that you offer constantly. And remember that people don't buy the things they need. They buy the things they want. And typically when you talk about value, you need to focus on what I think of as radio station WIIFM. What's in it for me? WIIFM means, again, what's the value that I get? What's the benefit I get? So, most of us in business, we actually love the features. We love the technology. We like the process of how we do things. And we love talking about how we solve things. But you know what? People don't care as much about how we do things as they do about the benefit they get from that. Here's an example. You want to talk about problem, solution, benefit. That's the single most effective storytelling paradigm that you can use. I like using this 3-photograph, 3-image example. It's about a girl sitting in a lunchroom, and she's sitting at a table, and she's got acne, and she's all by herself. And you've got a down camera angle, and you can see around her, and there's lots of tables with lots of people, but she's all by herself, and she's obviously sad and lonely because she has acne. The next camera image is she's standing in a bathroom applying some cream to get rid of the acne. And the third camera image is exactly the same as the first one, except she's no longer alone. Her acne is gone. She's surrounded by her friends. They're all laughing and having fun. Three images: problem, solution, benefit. That's the most powerful storytelling paradigm that exists. It works for cosmetics. It works for cologne. It even works for beer. What's the problem? Hey, I'm not having as much fun as I could if I had a beer in my hand and my buddies are drinking with me. You know, it works for Jeep and Tesla and BMW and Harley Davidson. If I want to think of myself as having fun driving, what's more fun than driving through a mountain or over down a trail with a Jeep and your top is open and you got nature around you? Or a Tesla, sleek, modern, elegant vehicle with extreme acceleration. Or a BMW, which is a symbol of success. Or a Harley, which is the man's man motorcycle, and it sounds awesome. I mean, you know, these are ways of promoting value. You can do it with extreme simplicity. And the problem can even be implied. But problem, solution, benefit. That's a great paradigm for how you communicate to people. But let's talk about lowering costs. You know, lowering costs is always an important thing to do. You never want to spend more for stuff than you have to. But the problem is that a lot of companies get caught in this paradigm of trying to cut their way to success, to cut costs and become successful as a result of cutting costs. And you can almost never do that. You need to focus on the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency is doing things right. It's digging the ditch the most efficient way that you possibly can from point A to point B. Effectiveness is doing the right things at the right time for the right reason, doing the right things. That's like digging the ditch. You can be the most efficient ditch digger and dig the ditch to the wrong spot, and it doesn't matter. It's all about what's your end game, what's your end goal. You need to be working on the business, not in the business. And you've heard that so many times. But lowering costs is something you should always be focused on, because it's always important to have low costs so that you can have the maximum possible margins. So in summary, I just want to say the following things. You can't cut your way to success. So the three things that you can do: increase get more customers, sell more to the customers you have, and cut and lower your costs. You can always work on lowering your costs and increasing your efficiency, but you can't cut your way to success. You need more profitable customers. You don't just need more customers, you need more customers that are profitable. And you get that by improving your messaging and primarily by leveraging your existing customers. So you improve your messaging to make sure that you get the right message to the right customer at the right prospective customer at the right time. And then when they become a customer, you focus on quality and service and building relationships so that you can end up asking for and receiving referrals. When you build relationships on the foundation of a quality product and service and you solve people's problems, you're in essence fulfilling the golden rule, which is success comes from helping others succeed. But that's really not quite enough. You need to be sure and help others succeed. You need to be focused on solving problems and doing it in a quality way, a customer-centric way. But you can't forget to invite and encourage referrals and invite and encourage repeat business. If you don't have an ongoing relationship and a constant flow of referrals, and if your business isn't growing, then you're doing something wrong. And so hopefully this gives you a few things to think about, but these are the tools and tips. This is what I call the 30-second MBA program. Get more profitable customers, lower your cost of acquisition, increase the lifetime value of your relationships by focusing on the customer experience and the quality of the solution that you provide. Before we leave, I want to make sure to mention somebody that I like talking to. His name is Bob Hampton. If you're like me, one of the biggest assets you have in life is the business that you've created and the relationships that surround that business. Your business is probably, if not your biggest, it's one of your biggest assets, and it's something that you're going to be relying upon for your retirement. So how do you maximize the value of your business in retirement? Well, that's where a specialist like Bob Hampton comes in. Bob is a business financial planning expert. His job is to help you make sure that as you approach that end game time frame, that you actually are able to maximize the wealth and the value out of your business. If you're thinking or haven't yet thought about that stage of your career, you should get in touch with Bob Hampton. Go to livestreamly.com, click on the Bob Hampton link, learn a little bit more about him, give him a call. He is always delighted to have a conversation and help you understand how to plan for the future. Again, go to livestreamly.com and come back tomorrow and hear the interview with Dan Nelson, the genealogist and master storyteller. I bet you he's going to have some good stories for us tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.